This is R2G Rally Radio. For the latest in on-event rally news.
This is your 7 o'clock update after a very chaotic day out on leg 6 of the Silver Fern Rally for 2024. But as far as the leaderboard goes, it's still James Ford, very much driving in marathon rally mode throughout the day. In fact, of the 6 stages that were able to be run today, he probably had his first day without winning a stage, placing 5th, 7th, 9th, 2nd, then 7th, and then 5th. To be some 1 minute, almost 1 minute down on the 4th fastest driver of the day, 1 minute down on Robbie Stokes and Amy Stokes, who've brought their escort through to head off the rest of the field. Robert Goff and Jeremy Rogers, who won the first 4 stages of the day, in fact won the last stage as well. So they had a 6th place stage on the Dickens Curry Bush stage, but they finished 18.7 seconds down on the Stokeses for the leg results. Roger Chilman and Patrick Walsh were third fastest, another similar 17.9 further back, and then James Ford at 59.8. Chris Rosenberger in the Porsche at 20 seconds further back. Similarly, Shane Merland another 20 seconds back. Jeff Judd, who had been hoping to charge on some of his favourite rally roads in the country, was in 7th quickest time, 1.1 seconds down on Merland, and then another 16 seconds back to one of our other rejoin very quick drivers, the Mazda RX-2 of Nathan Quinn, who recorded 8th fastest time. Ali Mackay was next. He was equal with Banami Grimes, some 38 seconds down to give you the top 10 fastest for the day. So on to the overall standings now. James Ford, his lead has been somewhat reduced by that margin today to now head up Robbie Stokes by 5 minutes 29.5 going into the final 3 special stages. But those are by no means a given, because they are two of the 3 are the longest stages of the rally, with Ramrock in the morning at 43k, then Hartfield, these all common stages in Otago rallies, at 19k, and then the real sting in the tail at 11 o'clock. The Rockland stage is a 54k monster to finish off this edition of the Silver Fern Rally. So as I say, Ford leads Stokes by 5 minutes 29.5. Robert Goff is 2 minutes 20.6 behind the Stokeses now. Roger Chilman 37.2 further back, still hanging on to Goff's coattails. Chris Rosenberger, and in fact until we get down to 14th place there's been no changes of position over these afternoon stages, with Shane Merland in 6th at 58.1 behind, then Charlie Evans at 5 minutes and 5 further back. Banami Grimes at 1 minute 26, Alan Dippy at 3.44, Jeff Judd 10th at 4.22 behind Dippy, and then Alonso is at 5.52.7, Grant Shand is 39.4 further back, Andrew Siddle is at 1 minute 16, then comes Brandon James, who's moved up because of the demise of Philip Kaduri. Unfortunately, the Lancia Stratos has been rolled in the Curry Bush stage. Similar position, I believe, to where Graham Cowie lost his car due to a fire a few Otago rallies ago on the road that comes down to rejoin the main, what we know as the Curry Bush stage. And unfortunately, the Lancia has got caught out and tripped over and rolled quite heavily. So he is listed down in 18th place now, having lost 4 places over these last couple of stages as a result of the maximum stage times allocated. So going back up to 14th, Brandon James has moved up 1 because of that. He's 10 minutes behind Andrew Siddle. Then it's another 39 seconds back to Richard Spink. Ian Dobson is next in his Mark 1 escort, 5 minutes 30 back. Then Kenny McDonald is 3 minutes 51. Philip Kaduri in the Lancia listed next at 1:26, but it remains to be seen whether we do actually see them in the morning or not, with the damage that some photos have been showing. We're hoping it's all just cosmetic. David Young in his Escort Mexico is 19th, 8 minutes further back. Then comes Steve Cox in the Starlet at 3:39. Ali Mackay is in 21st place at 8:52. Then Chris Ford, followed by Tony Jardine, who had a couple of stoppages in the last couple of stages, so hopefully he's okay. He's dropped a place to be 3.3 seconds behind Chris Ford going into tomorrow. Julian Burley in the Talbot Loader Sunbeam is next, 4 minutes further back. Then we get Nathan Quinn at 5 minutes. Scott O'Donnell, who also had a troubled day, missed a few stages. Then we moved down to Andy Martin, who had issues this morning. Unfortunately, couldn't do the first stage because the car wouldn't start, the Escort wouldn't start. So he was running so late that he missed getting to that stage, but then carried on for the rest of the day. Then we go to Evgeny Kurev, who unfortunately put his Porsche off the road and stay in the first stage this morning, where Bruce Farley, car 18, had one of his many moments during the day. And so again, that Porsche has been sidelined for the rest of the day. And we are, again, somewhat doubtful as to whether that one will return tomorrow. Greenie had also had a pretty eventful start to the day with a couple of off-road excursions, and has been a temporary withdrawal. He's not been seen. He was seen, did the first stage, got out of the first stage after going off through a fence and getting beached, then rolled in the next one, didn't do the next one, came out and did the first stage, the Cannibal Hill stage, but then unfortunately retired or temporarily withdrew, and so missed the last two stages. So not the greatest day for Greenie today. So he's down in 29th. Keith Stewart 30th. Merv Hatcher 31st. Ben Howlett and the Avenger is 32nd. Joshua Hilton next. Then Bruce Farley down now in 34th place. And then we go back to the final classified car, William Midgley in the Corolla, still 35th. Remembering that our retirements that we've had, Dean Buist, Marion Evans, Marcus Van Klink, Darren Snooks and Peter Sharmack. So again, tomorrow 3 big stages to go, and still lots to play for a lot of these guys to make sure they keep themselves sane and sensible to get through to Paddon's Paddock up near Cromwell for the finish midway through tomorrow afternoon. As far as the challenge goes, well, Dave Strong has had yet another puncture and cost him 2 minutes just in from the start of stage this morning. And so Chris Ramsey has actually increased his lead now. They've still been fighting tooth and nail throughout the day when things have been running well. And Rambo has won 4 of the stages. Dave Strong has won 2, or the other 2. And Richard Galley has actually split them with the delay that Dave Strong had in stage 45. With the puncture, stopping to change the puncture, cost him a minute and a half. So excellent work by the guys to get the puncture change, the wheel change in that time frame. And Galley has split the two of them. So Rambo's won the day by nearly 2 minutes, with Dave Strong another 7 seconds further back. And Carl Celeste bouncing back today for a 4th, the quickest for the leg, a minute and a half behind Dave Strong. So the overall standing, as I say, Rambo leads, and Amy Hudson in the Corolla lead Dave Strong and Rob Scott in the Honda Jazz by 8 minutes 42.7 now. Car 44, Richard Galley in the BMW is back up into 3rd, 3 minutes 15 further back, and I'll tell you why shortly. Carl Celeste back up to 4th, Chris Padden 5th. Michael Ward has got ahead of Austin Jones, who unfortunately has temporary withdrawal. He and Kingsley had pulled up in the Cannibal Bay stage after lunch and haven't been seen since, so hopefully that's again just a temporary retirement or withdrawal situation for them. So they've dropped down to 7th. Andrew Lowe is now 8th. Daniel Alexander is 9th. And 10th place is Brian Van Beek in the Toyota Altezza. Remember, of course, for the first day we lost Ross Yendall, and yesterday we lost Ed Mulligan in the first stage of the day. And unfortunately today we've lost car 48, Phil Thomas, who had been pressing Richard Galley for the final podium position off the road in stage 47, the Big Hunt Road stage, which unfortunately had to be cancelled. So the upshot of all that, and the four-wheel drive classic field, again, status quo. Ben Huband now something like 40 minutes ahead of Tom Milliken. So as it stands tomorrow, as I mentioned, we've got 2 really big stages and another very popular fast stage to contend with. The cars have relocated. For those of you that are in Dunedin that might want to go and have a look, they've moved away from Forsyth Bar. They're down on the St Kilda ocean front at the Dunedin Ice Centre, is where Parc Ferme is overnight. So we expect they'll be leaving from there at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning to head out to the Ramrock stage number 50, 43k. Great way to start the morning at 8:45. The Hartfield stage at 19k is due to start at 10 o'clock. And the final stage of the rally, the big monster Rockland stage, 54k, is due to start at 11 o'clock. Dare I say, the survivors will be at the Patiora Domain for a 60-minute service at lunchtime between 10 past 12 and 10 past 1. And then there's a big touring stage. Unfortunately, the final 3 intended stages were unable to be used because of the severe weather conditions down in the region in the lead up to the rally. So there's a big tour of 180k to take the finishes up to Paddon's paddock, Chris Paddon's winery, just out of Cromwell, and they're due there from 3:15 tomorrow afternoon. So again, I guess we'll be back at 2 o'clock tomorrow with what should be a wrap on how things have eventuated on what could well be a very interesting day 7 of the Silver Fern Rally. So until 2 o'clock tomorrow, Chris Grant signing off from the Chris Sport Results Desk.